Welcome to Teaching Training Sessions 2020, organized by Sección de Idiomas de la Facultad de Humanidades USAC, Embajada de los Estados Unidos en Guatemala, and Asociación de Jóvenes Ex Becarios del Departamento de Estado, AGEDE. My name is Karen Castellanos, and I'll be hosting this conference. Thank you so much for being with us. Before starting this, these are some general instructions for you to follow. First, we will have 10 minutes for questions and answers at the end of the conference, in which I will be reading questions and comments you post directly in the live chat. Second, don't forget to subscribe both our channels, Idiomas USAC and TTS Conferences, so you can stay tuned on all the conferences we will have during the week. The form for attendance will be shared in the chat at the end of the conference. Make sure to fill it in with your information and the one shared in every conference you attend, as this is how we will sum up your hours of participation for your diploma. Again, thank you for joining us in the conference Planning Online Teaching, in charge of PEM Karina Alvarado, whom we warmly welcome in name of the Organizing Commission of TTS 2020. Profesor Karina Alvarado, estudiante del programa Access Micro Scholarship Program de la Embajada de los Estados Unidos en Guatemala durante el año 2013 hasta el año 2014. También formó parte del programa Pilot, enfocado en la metodología de enseñanza del idioma inglés en el año 2015. Experiencia en educación. Entrenadora de docentes acreditada internacionalmente por World Learning Institute, con sede en Washington, D.C., USA. Profesora de enseñanza media en inglés, SAT, BP, TESOL, certificado que le acredita como maestra de inglés a nivel internacional. TAC, Teaching Assistant Course, certificado que le acredita como asistente de maestros internacionalmente. Ha organizado diferentes talleres a maestros a nivel nacional, siendo algunos el TTS de Huehue, Xela, Cobán y también el National Teachers Conference, NTC, del IGA en Quetzaltenango. Trabajó para el programa Access en Quetzaltenango. Actualmente trabaja como coordinadora del Prosperity English Program para la Fundación BFB en Quetzaltenango. También trabaja como Teacher Trainer para los programas de la Embajada de los Estados Unidos en Guatemala con el apoyo de AGEDE. Dentro de sus experiencias personales, también les ha brindado tours a 2 embajadores de los Estados Unidos en Guatemala. Realizó voluntariado en Techo y Visión Legislativa en Quetzaltenango. Además, estudia el 7º semestre de la licenciatura en Relaciones Internacionales y Ciencias Políticas. Miss Alvarado, the time is all yours.
Thank you so much for the short introduction. I am very happy to be here today, sharing this space with all of you. I am extremely lucky to have, we are all extremely lucky to have this type of activities in which we can share knowledge with each other. I know this was expected to be different, but I'm happy that we were able to come up with these online training sessions, and I hope that you get to learn as much as possible. Okay, so we are going to start. I will start sharing my presentation. Okay, so basically the name of the workshop is Planning Online Teaching. And what I want to do with this virtual session is to show you how to create interactive online lessons using a productive framework. Continue. So it is very important to, like, this quote is very important. I know that the times have changed, and all of the teachers, all of us have had to change our teaching style, had to change the format in which we had to prepare our classes. And this is why I believe that this quote represents everything. It is not about technology, it is about teaching. So it is not about how many resources you have, or if you use a lot of resources. It is about you teaching. It is about how you are teaching your students. So as you have already listened, I'm Karina, I'm from Quetzaltenango, and I'm also an English teacher turned into a teacher trainer. The phrase that guides my teaching is the following: you're not teaching a class, you're teaching your students a class. So sometimes we focus too much on planning, we focus too much on what resources we're using, what materials we're using, and we forget about the most important factor in our lessons, which is our students. So nice to meet you all, and I hope this training is very useful for all of you. The objectives for the lesson. So at the end of the session, you will be able to apply the criteria to evaluate your planning routine, if you have one, or if you don't have one, then you can start creating one with the criteria that I'm planning to deliver to you today. And also adapt at least one productive activity using an online tool. Okay, so let's start. You may see right now on your screen one question: how long have you been teaching? So please answer the question on the chat. So I will be reading your comments, and we'll see who has been teaching the most and the least. Mm-hmm. 25 years, Alejandra. Wow. 7 years, 11 years, 30 years. Wow. 10 years and more, 15, 10, 4, 7, 4, 7, 11 years, 10 years. We have been teaching a lot. 4 months. That's pretty cool. You're starting. This is amazing. 15, 10, 13. Wow. Congratulations to all of you. Even if you are just 6 or 4 months and just starting, you have already some experience and way to go. There's so many more things we're going to learn in the field. Okay? Thank you for answering. Now let's continue. Next question. Do you plan your online lessons? If so, what do you take in consideration while planning? Like, whenever you are planning, what do you think about? Answer on the chat below, and I will be reading your comments. What do you take in consideration while planning? For example, maybe the level of your students, maybe the topic. What do you take in consideration when you're planning? What are you thinking about when you're planning? Imagine yourself, you're planning your lesson. What are you thinking about? Your objective, your students, the topic, the target language, how to motivate students. Okay. Okay. Even if you're not teaching or not teaching online, even think about when you were teaching before. What do you usually think about when you're planning? Have fun, they your students, level, activities. Okay, yeah, it's different to teach in a school than to teach online. Yes, integrating skills, motivation, and activities. Okay, call the attention of the okay, how to use activities to keep your students engaged, the technological tools. Okay, level perfect. Thank you so much. Structure of what we're going to learn through the week. We're using the grammar basics, and then we do an exercise. Amazing. Daily topics. Yeah, and meaningful learning. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. The community. Your students in the community. That's a very deep comment. Not only you think about your students, but maybe about how the learning of your students is going to affect your community. Wow. Thank you. Okay, let's continue with the second question. And when you're planning, what framework do you usually use? For example, ICR, PPU, PDP, or you just write down a list of activities? Do you follow a specific steps, or you just write down activities and that's it? Conversation, okay, taking count the contents according to the age of the student, okay. Candy Quevedo, conversation topics. Michelle Morales, okay, you use PPU, amazing. Speaker from PDP, okay, great. If you don't use a framework, maybe you just write down the activities or you just write down the objectives. Okay, you do a list of activities. PWP, RAP, hey, a lot of frameworks. Amazing, Eager from PDP, eager to you. Have to follow refined steps according to your planning. Okay. Yeah, it depends on what you're teaching. If you're teaching reading, listening, writing. Good. Thank you for sharing. Now we're going to watch a video of some of the challenges that some teachers have faced while teaching online. Um, so enjoy it. It's not very long, it's just 1 minute. And let's play it. Oh, okay. I read your comments and said you cannot hear anything. It doesn't work. Thank you very much. Let's see. right now you can listen to it.
Morning, girls. It's so lovely to be in your homes today, and I look forward to us going on.
Coffee.
Yeah, sit on that and they go.
Cooks, what are you doing?
I'm just trying to upload the video for the kids on
Your camera's on, man.
Which means that it's two words that we put together to make another word.
So I'm going to just share one Bible verse with you today, and the you've gone. Blessing, I'm gone.
Moon and light form moonlight. The next word we have is cooler bag. Cooler bag can also be a compound word, cooler and then bag.
And he was always the hero.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be starting term 2 with you.
And we have got Simon, I'm recording. Oh,
So my advice for studying this section: keep two timelines. Keep one for the opposition movements or the liberation movements, and then one for what the government.
Okay, so I noticed that the video in the transmission was a little bit slower than it should have been. However, there were the video showed some experiences some teachers had while teaching online. So I would like to know if you have had similar experiences as the one in the video. If you have, what has happened to you when you were teaching online? Or if you are not teaching online, maybe if you have had an online call and you were calling your friends and something funny happened. Or what challenges have you experienced when teaching online? Let me know in the chat so I can read your comments and we can all read your experiences. Okay, you haven't had any interruption like those yet? Good for you. Your dog's barking, yeah, that has happened to me as well. Your nephew's on the TV, okay? Okay, or someone is in your students' houses and they appear on the camera while you're teaching. Interruption of sound and no one tells you, yeah. So you're speaking and no one tells you that you're not online or that they cannot listen to you. Problems with internet, noise, okay. Yeah, it's been complicated since we are around family or noises around. Yeah, that's very important. Like all of us were used to teach in a specific environment, in our schools, in our academies, or programs. However, we were, because of the situation right now, all of us had to move to work at our homes. So not everyone has a specific space to work on. Like we don't have an office or a classroom only for online teaching. Like we are adapting our house into our work environment. So we understand. I understand all of this, all of these struggles you have had with your parrot screaming for help. Okay, your cat's yelling, your mom talking to you. Yeah, I totally understand that. Yes, it's terrible. I am at home, but at the same time, I am not. Yeah, nobody understands our work. True. Like our family believes that because we are there sometimes, it means that they can come in and go out. So it's a little bit complicated to work at home, right? Okay, so let's continue. And thank you so much for continuing working online with all of these challenges. Now I would like you to please go to this poll, to this link, and I want you to please answer the question there. We're going to share the link with you. Your family often forgets to call me from another room. Yeah, I totally get that. So please go to the link. So I can see your okay. Do you have a routine to plan your lessons, and what do you do? Okay, I check on the topics that I need to cover from the standard CME. Okay, okay. According to your coordinator instructions, I have to follow them while I'm planning, prepare materials, do it on the weekends. Okay. Search your practical activity and also share some links before submitting a project. Okay, so you do it on the weekend. So you plan all of the activities on the weekend. I read my content, activities, prepare the materials, check topics, you plan weekly, brainstorm your ideas to see if you can use them or maybe in the plan. Okay, so you go through brainstorming first. You take an hour per class to plan activities and receive feedback on the last evaluation. Okay, so if you receive feedback, you take into consideration that. It's hard to plan, so I teach the same lessons 2 times per day, so I assume I know everything. Okay, okay. CMB, you follow your coordinator's instructions, check the topics, you prepare the materials during the weekend, so you don't have to plan on the week while you're teaching. Perfect. Thank you so much. Now let's go to the presentation. I know I have been asking a lot of questions, but I really want to know about you. So this is one of the last questions I'm going to ask. So you were telling me in the comments and on the poll that you look for different activities. You do brainstorming, you follow the CMB, your coordinator's advice or instructions. And so tell me, right now that you have to change your whole procedures, how do you make your online lessons interactive? If it doesn't let you write, you can continue writing on the chat here on YouTube. How do you make your lessons interactive? For example, maybe you play videos, or maybe you ask your students to stand up and dance before starting the class. You sing, dance, adapt online resources, making different games. We have video calls on Zoom and play spelling and conversation games. Amazing. You make your students participate in the class by doing different activities. Okay. So don't worry, even if I don't read your comments here out loud, I am reading them in the chat. Adapting online tools, Workmates, Kahoot. Okay, dance is independent too. Try to make it more interactive by using projects where students can actually speak and interact with classmates and sources, videos. Amazing. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so we're going to start with the criteria or the things that you need to consider before and while you are planning your lessons. You can use this whenever you're planning your lesson for an online class or for the ones that you teach at your school. So number one, you have objectives. Does the lesson plan have objectives? Are they smart? What objectives do you have that are according to the CMB or the curriculum of your school? Is your class related to those objectives? And what secret objectives do you have as a teacher? Because you have to have the objectives related to the curriculum of your school or of the CMB, but you also have to have your secret objective. For example, if you have this student that doesn't participate much, so your objective for this class is for Pedrito to participate at least 2 times. That's your secret objective as a teacher. Then we have second aspect you need to consider are the activities. Does the lesson plan have activities? Like you should have more than one activity. You shouldn't be doing the same activity for 1 hour because your students are going to get bored and you're going to lose the attention of your students. So the activities must include motivational a motivational introduction. Like maybe those activities require more than passive listening. Like, is your teaching focused on? Are you giving the time to your students to speak? Are you giving your students time to share their ideas? Does the activity utilize more than one group size? There, like in the next slide, I'm going to show you. For example, Zoom allows you to create small meeting groups in which you can let your students speak for an amount period of time and while you are observing them. Or for example, maybe you can use an activity in which they have to call each other and they have to practice the activity, or they have to practice the vocabulary that you teach. Those activities use media if appropriate. For example, your students spend a lot of time on Facebook and WhatsApp. Maybe you can use that technology to your advantage. And I'm going to show you that in the next slide. Number 3, instructions. How can you make sure your instructions are clear? Well, when you're teaching and you're seeing your students in a classroom, it is easier to observe if they are not understanding your instructions. However, in an online session, you can even write or create a post-it on your screen. You can put it on your presentation so they don't forget the instructions. And you don't have to continue writing anything. We have moved, so don't worry if you cannot write any more answers. The poll is closed because we are doing something else. In another aspect, another aspect to consider when you are planning is the assessment. Sorry, the material. What materials are you going to use? Are they appropriate for your student level? So while you're planning, you think objectives, I have them ready, check. Activities, I have them ready. I know what each activity is for, check. Instructions, I know how I am going to present my instructions to my students, check. Materials, are they appropriate for your students level? For example, you're not going to show a video of conversation between a high level conversation to your students that are beginners. So check your material if they are appropriate for your students. And then the assessment. Does the lesson plan provide for clear assessment of the lesson's objectives? How are you going to check that you are achieving your objectives? So let's remember the example that I gave you. For example, the personal objective. At the end of the lesson, my students, they are going to be able to practice the conversation at least twice. So you go to the end of the activity and you see that your students are practicing the conversation at least 2 times. So the assessment done, check. The flexibility. Is the lesson plan flexible enough that you can change it if you need to? So as you saw in the video, there are many things that will happen. Maybe as right now, maybe you can have some, the internet is not working. Maybe the screen is not showing the videos. How are you going to adapt your lesson in order for your students to continue learning? For example, one activity doesn't work, so how are you going to adapt it? So you have to have a plan B and a plan C in order to complete your objectives, even if the activity doesn't work. And the last one, number 7, the 7th aspect, assignment. Are you going to deliver or leave an assignment or homework for your students? What is it about? How much time do they have to finish it? Do they need to upload it to a platform? So you have to have all of those questions and all of those aspects in consideration when you are planning. Okay. Let's do a quick review. Aspect number 1, objectives. Check if you have objectives in your lesson. Number 2, activities. How many activities do you have? And if they are according to the level of your students and according to the topic. Instructions. How are you going to deliver your instructions to your students? Number 4, materials. Are they appropriate for your students? Are they ready for your lesson? Assessment. Does the lesson, how are you going to evaluate that each activity is being done correctly or that is being achieved? Flexibility. Do you have a plan B in case technology doesn't work or in case your students don't show up or that you have less students than expected? What are you going to do if there are some changes? And number 7, assignment. Are you going to leave homework? If so, what homework are you going to deliver? So there are 7 aspects you need to consider before and while you are planning. Let's continue. Now let's go to Kahoot. You can go to the link or we're going to write down on the comments, or you can write down the code on the platform. So let's play Kahoot. Okay, so we have 13 players. Classic, please. Yes, Linda Tingia, you say always think that it is better quality than quantity. Perfect, yes. Okay, so we are just waiting for at least half of you to enter, and then we're going to play in classic, please, classic mode. So we have 28, 29, 41. Okay, so we have 34. 36. We're just going to wait for 1 more minute, and then we're going to start. Okay, let's go. Let's get to 45, 1 minute, and then we can start in a little. So all of you can play. So just follow the link and then write down the keys. Okay, 54. Let's. Okay, great. Just write down the code. Go to foot. Okay, so we're going to start so we don't spend too much time on the game. There are just 3 questions. Okay, so let's start. Think about receptive skills. How many receptive skills are there? Okay, if you cannot see the, I'm going to say the question so you can, let me, next question. How many? Okay, so the next question is, and the winner is Shanti. You got the first place, and then Miguel Pastor, Irma Vicente, and Damaris Coronado. Okay, so for receptive skills, there are just 2 receptive skills: reading and listening. Okay, the second question is going to be, it's already on the comments. How many productive skills are there? So get ready. How many productive skills are there? Okay. Okay, so there are also 2 productive skills, writing and speaking. Don't worry, just a game. I'm going to explain that a little bit further in the presentation. And the last one is ICRF a productive framework. Okay, it's true. ICRF is a productive framework. Okay, so let's go to the presentation. So the questions were, the first one, how many receptive skills are there? And there are 2 receptive skills that you can teach your students. Listening and reading. So when you let your students read or you let your students listen, you are teaching them or developing some receptive skills on them. The second question is how many productive skills are there? And the other 2 productive skills are writing and speaking. You produce vocabulary, if you produce new language by writing or speaking, you are developing productive skills. And the framework that we are going to work on today is ICRF, which is a productive framework. So let's continue. Yes, I apologize for the delay because while we are transmitting, it takes some time to get to the transmission, and that's why you see the transmission a little bit late, and that's why the time was not enough for you to complete the game. But it was just a game, so don't worry if you couldn't participate or if you didn't have enough time to write down or to answer. It was just an activity for you to see how it works. And yeah, so there are 4 skills that are divided into 2, productive and receptive skills. Okay, and today we're going to focus only on one, which is the productive skills, and the ones that you can teach through ICRF. Okay, so ICRF is a framework that you can use to plan a productive lesson. Productive lesson means that you can you're planning for your students to speak or to write something. Right now, let's focus on speaking and producing language. So ICRF is a framework that it's a framework that you can use to plan your lessons. So it's a series of steps. ECRIF. Each letter represents one stage. Okay, so let's continue. Let's start with the E, encounter, which is the first stage in which you let your students, here's what your students encounter the language. Like it is the first encountering of the language. So here, how you can help your students is like, for example, you're looking at the vocabulary or you're going to teach animals, or you're going to teach, for example, colors. You can ask your students to do a brainstorming. So tell me all the animals in English that you know. And they can say, oh, dog, cat, zebra. So they can start sharing with you some of the knowledge they already have. Because remember that our students have had previous classes, previous teachers, or maybe they just have learned the language by themselves. And so they have a little knowledge already. And what you're trying here is for them to elicit and get that knowledge from them. And the activities that you can do in this stage, this is the first stage, you enter your class and you start with your students. So here you can start by telling them a story or related to the topic. Or you can ask them to answer a question related to the vocabulary. Like it depends on the topic. So let's continue. So for example, you're in a Zoom meeting with your students, or you are with I don't know, like you're using a site web or an application to give or deliver your classes to your students online. So you have all of your students on your screen. You can ask a question or play a song with them related to the topic. So you can start your lesson by asking them to sing a song with you, like you were saying in the first in the comments that you usually sing with them. You can, for example, you're teaching animals, as I was explaining, and you can sing a song with them using animals. So that's the first encounter, the first part of your lesson. Sing a song, or show them a video or cartoons. Or you can ask them to dance with, like you can ask them, okay, everybody stand up, we're going to dance and sing a song. While, even if they are at their houses, they can do it. Or you can use Answer Garden, where you can do a brainstorming activity with them, and you can ask them to write the colors they know in English, the animals they know in English, the singers, if you're talking about their favorites, I don't know. You can use that too in order for them to brainstorm in an online and in a live activity. We're not going to do this activity. Okay, so you said like at the beginning you can play Broken Phone, Hannah, related to the topic. Okay, yeah, you can absolutely do that. But right now, like we're trying to give you some activities that you can use for your online sessions. So you have Encounter, and for example, or you're going to watch your favorites, or you're teaching the vocabulary is favorites. So you start by sharing your own favorites. So you come on to the class and you say, so, hi everyone, so today I'm going to show you my favorite things. And so listen and pay attention to the sentence that I say. And you start. My favorite singer is Katy Perry. My favorite song is Firework. My favorite food is pizza. My favorite drink, Coca-Cola. My favorite Netflix series, Dark. So here, in this stage, at the end, you can ask them, what sentence was I using? And they are going to write down in the comments or on WhatsApp or in the comment chat, and they can say, oh, teacher, you said my favorite singer is, and then you go to the next stage, which is clarify. In this stage, especially, is where you're going to clarify the language to your students. So here you're going to highlight the language that they are going to learn throughout the lesson. So they tell the teacher you were using my favorite is, and so you can say yes. So my favorite singer is, my favorite food is, my favorite Netflix series is. So you can here where you clarify the information and the language that you're teaching. You can use a variety of exercises here. You can do a matching game in which you can show your students some pictures. They have to match it to the sentences, for example. Or clarify information. You can tell them, my favorite singer is, and they have to repeat it. You listen to them repeating it, and so they practice a little bit the pronunciation. So here there is an example that you can use for that specific lesson. So you show them this slide where you have in one side the sentences, and on the other side the words they can use to complete the sentences. For example, so you can ask them, so right now I want you to please go to the comments this is an example. Go to the comments and match the sentence, complete the sentences. For example, sentence E, my favorite song is Firework. For letter A, my favorite food is, and they have to complete it on the comments. So that's a way in which they are clarifying the language that you are teaching them. And also, like for example, here in this slide, you have what is your favorite? And my favorite is. So this is just for you to practice with them the pronunciation and for them to copy the language on their notebooks, for example, if they are using. Or you can use Kahoot. If you're using it in a live session through Zoom, it is going to work better than how it works for us. So you can use Kahoot to clarify the information. So in the question, you can ask them, my favorite singer is, and they have some singers as options, or they have like Katy Perry, pizza, soda, and for example, chocolate. So they have to match the correct answer to the question, and that is how they can use Kahoot and how you can use Kahoot for them to clarify the information. So we are in the second stage of ICR. So we are easy. For remember, the remember stage. Here is where your students need to practice the language by themselves. So for example, you can play a game like Kahoot for them to remember how to write down the information. You can do, you can ask them to, for example, as I was telling you in Zoom, you can create some small rooms in which you divide them in groups. So you group number one, I need you to practice the sentences and the question. So you go and let them time to practice in small groups. Also, you can, in this stage, in the remember stage, you can send them some online worksheets in which they need to complete sentences or they need to correct sentences for them to practice the vocabulary that you are teaching them. Or you can play charades. for example, you show food. For example, you show the image of let's see, spaghetti, and they have to tell you, all of them in the meeting. They have to tell you, my favorite food is spaghetti. Now you show them a soda, like 7-Up. And they have to answer, my favorite drink is. So they have to be practicing the language with you. As here the example, you can create small groups in Zoom, so you can let them work inside the small groups and practice, and you can observe and listen to their conversations, even if you are not with them. Or for example, this, you show them this image and you ask them, so right now I need you to practice the questions. So if I show you an image, for example, pizza, what question do you ask? And the students tell you, for example, you show them this image, this is the first picture, so they have to practice the question. And they tell you, my favorite, what's your favorite food? And you show them the second picture, which is series. So they have to tell you, what's your favorite Netflix series? Or the third picture, what's your favorite drink? And then if you want them to practice the answer, you do the same activity. You show them, for example, the first image. And if you're showing the first image, they need to tell you not the question. They need to tell you the answer. So if you're showing the first image, they need to tell you, oh, my favorite song is, and they tell you. And the second image, my favorite series is, and they practice the vocabulary and the information. Then, so we already saw encounter, clarify, and remember. Now we're going to the fourth one, which is internalize. In this stage, your students need to internalize the information. So they need to personalize the information in order for them to be meaningful. So they use the target language. So we have here, my favorite singer is. So they need to complete the information with their own favorites. They are not practicing yours anymore or others anymore. They need to do their own information. That is how they are going to internalize and personalize the information. And here you can ask them, okay, so I want you to please write down on the chat box your favorites. So they write, my favorite singer is Justin Bieber. My favorite food is McDonald's. So they keep on writing, so they practice the information by themselves. So here you can show them this image and you can ask them complete the sentences with your own information. You can go one by one listening to what they say, or you can just ask them to comment on the chat box of your meeting. Then we have the last stage, which is the fluently use. Here is where your students are going to practice the target language in a real life situation. So you can ask them here to, like, if you don't have time to do this in your lessons because sometimes you have only 45 minutes to do it, you can ask them to create a video using their information. So you tell them, as homework, I need you to create a video about your favorites, and I need you to show me your favorites. Or you can ask them to create a drawing or a PowerPoint presentation, and they show it to you. Or you give them time in the class to do it, and they present it to the class in the small groups in Zoom, or they just send it to you so you can listen to them practicing or watch their videos. Also, you can use here in Facebook that you can create a Facebook class, a Facebook group with your students in which they need to go and post their videos. For example, you have Pedrito who uploaded his video about his 5 favorites. And then you ask your students, okay, now all of you need to go and comment on Pedrito. And then Diana, and then Miriam. So you use the technology that they usually use as an educative source. Also, you can ask them in a fluency activity to create project work in groups that you can ask them. You can divide it in 4 groups, and you can ask them create a video about your favorites or create a role play about your favorites. So they need to figure out a way in which they need to use the technology, put all of the videos together, and then present it to the class. So all of them are practicing their vocabulary, and it is fun for them to use the material that they have in their houses. They can use their pets, or you can, like, with the videos, you can create a lot of amazing things. You can divide them in groups and put them into a situation. You have this situation. You are in an island, desert island, and you need to bring 5 things. I need you, like, so what is your plan? And you let them think about it, and then they need to comment on the chat, or they can create a video about it and they can send it to you. You just need to be creative with the last stage. So let's summarize it. We have ECRIF, encounter. Your students encounter the language the first time. Clarify. You clarify the form, meaning, and use with your students. That means you clarify how the grammar, you clarify the pronunciation, and you clarify the use. When are they going to use it? And then you have remember. That's where your students need to practice the language that you're teaching. Internalize. They need to use the language they have been learning, and personalize it to their own ideas, their own experiences. And fluency, they need to practice the language in a free environment. So I believe that in an online teaching way, you can ask them to create videos, to send you audios, to create a PowerPoint presentation, to create an infographic, to create a Word document, an image, a meme. You can ask them to create a meme, so it's meaningful for them. It's something that they can use and they can do in their houses. You can use the Facebook group to upload the videos. You can ask them to pretend they are YouTubers talking about their favorites. So you foster that imagination in them, and they enjoy doing the homework and they enjoy doing the activities and they are using the language, which is the main objective, that they are learning the vocabulary, learning the target language. Okay. And in a normal setting, in a normal class, you can use ECRIF as well. Like ECRIF is usually used in a normal class, but you can adapt it to an online version, which is better for you. In which case you don't have, like, you are not teaching online because your students don't have access to a camera or internet. You can create small documents for them with instructions for them to follow. So in number 1, for example, you post a picture on Facebook and they need to comment, what do you see in the picture? And I say, I see a cat. Oh, I see a cow. I see a mouse. And for clarify, you upload a video of yourself saying the words, and you ask them to send you a WhatsApp audio with them pronouncing the vocabulary. Or remember, you can post also in the Facebook group another you can use a website or an online practice in which they need to practice the information. And for internalize, you ask them you make a post on Facebook, write down your 5 favorite things, and they need to comment on that Facebook post their 5 favorite things. And then for the last activity, they need to upload their video. Okay. So that's ECRIF. Remember that ECRIF, there are certain stages you need to follow. However, it is not no obligatory structure you need to use. For example, you can do encounter clarify for part of your language. For example, you're teaching vocabulary, and then another encounter clarify for the conversation. Then you put the remember, internalize, and fluency. Okay, so let's continue. Follow the instructions and comment on the chat. Think about the next lesson you will be teaching and write down an activity you will do using the information given on the workshop. So think about an activity that you want to use for your next lesson and tell me how are you going to use it. For example, maybe you're teaching the next week, you're teaching, let's see, you're teaching about stores, or you're teaching about people and places. And what you want to do is for them to share their favorite place in the world, or the place they want to visit one day. Okay. So you're going to use Padlet with sticky notes. Good. That's a great resource. Outbursts of frequency, I will create my own sentences with them, and then I will let them change activities I select for practice. Amazing. Okay, so you're going to start your activity with Handman activities, practice spelling. Great. Mitasis and Miyose. Create a video or Padlet. Amazing, yeah. I'm teaching vocabulary on Tuesday. I will use flashcards. Yes, flashcards are very useful all the time for encounter and clarify. Clear instructions are important. Yes, they are. Visual thinking. They have to explain adverbs using icons, colors, and forms. Amazing. Quiz games. Frequency adverbs. Students will be asked to record a video or the activity that they do at home by saying how often they do it. Great. Yes. So they can create their like a diary in their or a journal in the house. So today or tomorrow, so they can practice a little bit. Crossing and is something great. Chat for my internalize. Great. Yes, so they can internalize. Record a recipe using quantifiers. Yeah, that's a great idea. So they can share it on, I don't know, Facebook or on the class, and all of them can learn to do recipes and they enjoy it while doing it. Your favorite artist and tell us 5 favorite things of him or her using Canva. Yes, Canva is a great resource, so they can have a very beautiful image using the vocabulary that you're teaching them. Kahoot, okay, yeah. That's the whole point. Like when you are commenting your ideas, so other teachers can get ideas from you and they can use it for their classes. Two pictures. Speaking, showing two pictures to find differences. That's a great encounter. That's a great encounter. That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. They have to record their voice. Yes. Kahoot with a vocabulary activity. Yep. Amazing. Amazing. Answer Garden for your encounter. Yes, you can use Answer Garden for your encounter. Yes, they can sing a rap song using their creativity with the opposite. Amazing. So you can sing with them, or they can create their own song and then they need to present it. It's pretty cool. Amazing. Okay, so some advice for you to take in consideration also for your next classes are, you need to, like, if you are teaching online, you need to record your lectures. For example, you're teaching in Zoom, you can record it and then upload it to YouTube or to your Facebook group. So maybe if a student couldn't attend your class or didn't have the internet to attend your class, they can go and watch it later. Or if a student has a question, they can go and watch the class again later on. And then we have show your face, use social media as a tool. As I was telling you, use Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, even Instagram to your advantage. You can create a hashtag and you need to upload a picture using that hashtag. Play stuff. And then we have test out your slides and tools before using them. Ideas. For this presentation, I practiced a lot with the online resources, but sometimes they don't work, as people observed today. So try to practice a little bit before teaching, so you avoid any trouble or problems that may appear during the way. Give specific instructions, as all of you were saying in the comments. Yes, give specific instructions, and you can have the instructions on your screen so your students can see it. Set reasonable expectations. Also remember that maybe your students are not receiving only your class, but they are also receiving other courses. So don't saturate them with a lot of homework, or a lot of documents to read or PDFs, because it might be very frustrating with them for them. Remember that all of us are going through a very difficult time. So we want our students to feel safe and to enjoy our classes, not to feel pressured by them. And let students take control. By that I mean that you need to let your students do presentations, create the videos, and do audio, so they need to practice. They can practice a little bit more. And I guess that's it. So that's my email, a website that you can visit for some other courses, and my phone number if you have questions, comments, or you want to follow up.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ms. Alvarado, for such a great conference. I'm pretty sure that everybody learned a lot from this conference. But we have Some questions, though, we'd love you to answer. These are some of the ones participants wrote in the chat, and I'm going to send it to you. Let me share this here. Okay, the question is, how do you do your planning classes before your meeting class?
How do I do my planning before
Before your meeting class, when you set up a meeting, for example?
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I usually follow the criteria that I show you. I think about what are my objectives for this session, and what do I want them to learn? How are they going to learn the knowledge? How are they going to practice that knowledge? And if this activity doesn't work, what else am I going to do with them? Like I need to plan every detailed stage of my lesson in order for my students to learn the vocabulary and to learn the target language. So I follow the criteria that I show you at the beginning in order to get a better result at the end.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you again for solving this question, and also for taking the time to share this information with us. Thank you so much. Now, let me go back here. For our right now, for our dear audience, remember that the form for attendance will be shared. I'm going to share to you right now the form for attendance, so you can fill it in. Just bear with me for 1 minute. Okay, let me check here. Okay, I'm just going to copy this for you. Okay, so you can complete this form.
Just one thing, if just send me an email or a phone or a WhatsApp, and I can share with you the presentation and the documents I used for this presentation and other material that they might need.
Oh, that will be awesome. Yeah, because I read on the comments that they were asking for the presentation. Thank you. You for our audience, you already have over there the information. Okay, just let me. I already shared with you the also the attendance link. I'm going to share it again. Okay, and just make sure that you fill it in with your information and the one shared in every conference you attend. As we explained before, this is how we will sum up your hours of participation for your diploma. This has been all for this conference, so we invite you to join us for our next ones during the week, and also the one starting at 5 p.m. Those are create and decorate. It will be transmitted in this channel, and productive and receptive skills on our second channel, TTS conferences. So have a wonderful afternoon, and Ms. Alvarado, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for this amazing activity.
Great, thank you for sharing all your knowledge with us. I'm pretty sure that all the audience learn a lot from this. Thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye now.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.